Salvete omnes. This is chapter 34, exercise B. We are parsing these Latin sentences and turning them into English. Starting with number 1. Cor marci amicus mihi inimicissimos est. So it's an interrogative. We're asking a question, ends in a question mark, and we're asking, cor, aren't you curious as to why, which is an adverb, why, because it details why, the purpose of the verb. Why does the verb exist? Why does it happen? Marci, from Marcus e masculine, we get Marcus or Mark. This is the genitive singular. It could be the marks, nominative plural, but probably not. So we'll go with the genitive singular. We'll also go with possession, most likely possession. Next word is amicus. Now we have amicus aum, which is an adjective meaning friendly. And if it takes a dative to complete its meaning, meaning friendly to someone, you show friendship to or for someone, that'll take a dative. We call that dative, that its reason, dative with adjective. A noun will become a dative because it works with this adjective, friendly to someone in the dative. But if the noun is being used as a substantive, like amicus e masculine, a friend, a person who is friendly, that is a friend, that will take a genitive of possession. So a friend of someone. Do you hear the difference? There's a friend of someone in the genitive, as opposed to someone is friendly to someone in the dative. The difference between the noun, the substantive, and the adjective, friendly versus friend. Well, we do already have a genitive of possession, marci. So I'm going to go ahead and go with it. This is the substantive, the noun version. Amicus e masculine, a friend of Marcus. You could say Mark's friend. Why does Mark's friend do something? Why does the friend of Mark do something? Because amicus, that's the nominative singular masculine form, and would show the subject. Mihi is the dative of ego. It goes ego, mehi, mihi, me, and me. So in English we have I as the subject form and me as the oblique or the nominative case form. It can be singular, or it can be it has to be singular, it can be masculine, or it could be feminine. Now it could be dative with an adjective coming up. It could be an indirect object. I mean, I went ahead and peeked. I know what the answer is because we are following up with inimicissimos from inimicus aum, meaning unfriendly. And just like amicus, we could get a substantive, inimicus e masculine, an enemy, a rival, a personal enemy, someone who is unfriendly to a dative. So here, this is the adjective unfriendly. And it often takes a dative to complete its meaning. So with dative, this is the superlative form, nominative singular masculine. And then we followed up with sum esse fui futuros, third person singular, present active indicative, the form to be, est. Well, that just finishes off the sentence. Cur, why, is Mark's friend. So we have a subject, nominative, a linking verb, est, and then a predicate nominative, inimicissimos, superlative, most unfriendly. Why is Mark's friend most unfriendly, very unfriendly, mihi, towards me? Mihi, in relation to me. Dative with adjective. Mihi is a dative with adjective. This is a good sentence for showing the difference between the substantive, the noun version, like amicus. It has its adjective form as well, the exact same form pretty much. And then inimicissimos, this is the adjective form taking a dative, whereas this is the noun substantive form taking a genitive. Why is Mark's friend very unfriendly to me? Optime. Number 2. Nautai patriae nostrae hodie dissimilimi sunt eis, qui in mari inter Britanniam et Galliam navigabant. So nautai from nautai masculine sailor. Could be genitive singular masculine, could be dative singular masculine, could be nominative plural masculine. Lots of things going on there. Probably is going to be nominative plural masculine because it is at the front of the sentence, but, keep your options open. Patriae. Well, patriae comes from patriae, feminine, meaning your father's land, your homeland, your native country. Could be genitive, could be dative, could be nominative plural. So it could vie with nautai for the title of subject, or it could be something else. We could be looking at the sailors of the homeland, the sailors of the country. And then we get nostrae. Well, though they have the same ending, nostrae cannot go with nautai, because remember, nautai is masculine. Nostrae, well, that cannot be masculine. Nostrae has to be feminine, either genitive or dative singular. Could be nominative plural. So pretty much is going to go with patriae. We could have the sailors of our country, the sailors of our native land. Hodie, it's a contraction of hoc die, on this day. It's the adverb form, so it's the only form, today. It does not have a comparative, and it does not have a superlative form. Todayer, todayest. Yeah, we don't have those. So it's just the adverb hodie. The sailors of our country, today, on this day, as of now, dissimilimi. One of our silly six friends. It's silly because it has that double L. So, our silly six friends are facilis, difficilus, similus, dissimilus, humilus, and graculus. And here we have dissimilus, dissimile. Unlike, the opposite of similus. And it often takes a dative to complete its meaning, meaning something is unlike to something else. It is dissimilar to dative something else. And that dative will be what we call a dative with adjective. That will be its reason. Dative with adjective. Why is it dative? Because it's with the adjective. Completes the meaning of the adjective. What form is it? Well, you can see the double L there. This is the superlative. This is either genitive singular masculine or nominative plural masculine. And when I peek ahead and see sunt, we have a linking verb, third person plural, present active indicative, sum esse fui futurus. So we have a nominative subject, a linking verb, and a predicate nominative. Seems entirely reasonable. Subject, linking verb, predicate nominative. That seems very easy. And notice that it is nominative plural masculine as well as nautai. The sailors of our country today, nowadays, we could say, they are sunt dissimilimi. They are very dissimilar. They are very unlike. They are dissimilar to, takes a dative with adjective, eis. Eis, dative from is, ea, id. It could be nominative. It could be, well, no, it can't be nominative. Sorry, it cannot be. It can be masculine. It can be feminine. It can be neuter. Got ahead of myself there because the next word, qui, this is the relative pronoun, qui, quae, quod, which introduces us to a relative clause, an adjectival clause describing eis. It's going to give more information about those guys or those people. Those ones. Which ones? The ones that are very unlike to the sailors of our country today. Who are they? Who, blah, 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 blah. Relative clause introduced by qui, quae, quod. It ends with navigabant. You can draw brackets around it to help you. Draw an arrow from qui to eis, because eis is the antecedent of qui. They have to agree in gender and number, not necessarily in case. Keep in mind that eis is dative plural, masculine, feminine, or neuter. It's probably going to be either masculine or feminine, most likely masculine. Qui, well, that answers that. Well, that's masculine, and that's plural. Good job, qui, and nominative. So it's the subject of its clause. It's the subject of this verb, because nominatives are subjects. Those Who, in plus the ablative will show location, in plus the accusative will show motion towards. Here we have mari is the ablative. If that form weirds you out, remember that mare, maris, neuter, see, the big blue wobbly wet thing, that's an I stem. You're looking at its ablative I stem form. It goes mare, maris, mari, mare, mari, there's the ablative. The plural goes Maria, Marium, Maribus, Maria, Maribus. So in plus the ablative in Mari, we are located in the sea. Those who in the sea, inter means between or among, takes the accusative. Britanniam, Britannia I feminine, that's that island, Brittany. No, it's not. That's not Brittany. It's Britain. Dun, 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 dun. So between Britain, et, conjunction and, Gallium, that's Gaul. France, don't say France, say Gaul. Gallia I feminine, Gaul, ancient France. Navigabant, third person plural, imperfect active indicative of navigo, navigare, navigavi, navigatus, to sail. So who are these guys? They are those who were sailing in the sea between Britain and Gaul. And those guys are very dissimilar to the sailors of our country today, nowadays, are very dissimilar to those who were sailing in the sea between Britain and Gaul once upon a time. Navigabant, who used to sail, imperfect tense. Optime 3. Noster exercitus cupidissimus pacis erat. Postero anno tamen fortiter pugnavit. You hate to hear it. So noster, from noster, nostra, nostrum, mean our, belonging to us. It is the nominative singular masculine form. Probably agrees with exercitus, from exercitus, us, masculine, is a fourth declension word meaning army. That's the nominative singular masculine form. So we could say, here's our subject, our army, the army belonging to us. Cupidissimus. Well, the positive is cupidus aon. It usually takes an objective genitive to show the object of what you are desirous of. Think Cupid, lusting of, desirous of. What are you lusting for, desirous for? What are you cupiding after? That will be in the genitive, objective genitive. Notice the suffix issimos, so its degree is superlative. It's not just desirous of, it's most desirous of, very desirous of something in the genitive, like pacus, from pax pacus, feminine, peace. Most desirous of peace. Erat, third person singular, imperfect active indicative of sum esse fui futurus. Our army was. We have our subject, our linking verb, and our predicate nominative. Our army was very desirous of peace, was most desirous of peace. Semicolon. There's always a semicolon. Postero anno tamen. Now here's where the tamen really works, because tamen is post-positive, meaning that there'll be an emphatic or operative word or phrase that goes first, and then there's the tamen. It's like a great big but or however. Postero anno, however, in the next year. Postero anno, from posterus aon, mean following, or you can see post there, after, the next. And agrees with anno, from annus, e masculine, meaning a year. So ablative of time when, ablative singular masculine, in the following year, however, nevertheless, in the following year. Fortiter, this is the adverb form, from fortis, forte. You take the sem fort and then you add iter. Fortiter, the positive adverb form, bravely, strongly. pugnavit, third person singular, perfect active indicative of pugno, pugnare, pugnavi, pugnatus, to fight. So how did they fight? Adverb fortiter, bravely. Our army was most desirous of peace. Nevertheless, in the following year, it fought bravely. Optime, quarta. Roma est pocerrima orbium mihi notarum. So Roma, the eternal city. Roma I feminine, Rome. Nominative singular, feminine, Rome, the city. Est is third person singular, present active indicative of sum esse fui futurus. Linking verb, subject Roma is pocerrima. Pocerrima, that is an adjective from pocer, pocra, pocrum, beautiful, noble, or fine. This is the superlative form. Remember that the nominative singular masculine is pocer, so the superlative is formed by adding the suffix remus aum. Pocerrima. Nominative singular feminine agrees with Roma. Here we have our subject, our linking verb, and our predicate nominative. Rome is the most beautiful. Urbium. Urbium from orbs, orbis, feminine, meaning city. This is, remember your I stem rules, this is the genitive plural form. Of cities. The most beautiful of cities. And this is a partitive genitive. It's the most beautiful out of the cities. We're going to get a slice of the pie. It's the most beautiful city out of the cities. The whole group of cities. Mihi, like in sentence prima, mihi, dative, singular, masculine or feminine, of ego, mehi, mihi, me, and it's dated because of the adjective notarum, from notus meaning well-known, notable, or famous. It can take a dative to complete its meaning. Well-known to me. It's famous to me. In regards to whom? In regards to mihi, me. What's well-known to me? Notarum. It's genitive. It's plural. It's feminine because it agrees with the genitive plural feminine. Ding ding. Urbium. Of the cities known to whom? Dative. Mihi, to me. Dative with adjective. Notarum. Rome is the most beautiful of the cities known to me. Roma est pocerrima orbium mihi notarum, of the cities to me known. Quinta. Milites qui in proelio superati erant, fidelissimi imperatori erant. So the milites, from miles militis, masculine, soldier, either the nominative, in which case it would be the subject, or the accusative, in which case it would be the direct object. Qui, the relative pronoun qui introduces a relative clause. Qui in proelio superati erant. You can put brackets around it to help you. Draw an arrow from the relative pronoun to its antecedent milites. They must agree in gender and number, not necessarily in case. So milites could be nominative or accusative. Qui, that has to be nominative. So qui is going to be the subject. The soldiers inside this clause are the subject. So the soldiers who, qui who, subject, in plus the accusative would show motion towards, but in plus the ablative shows location. In plus the ablative, proelio, from proelium, proeli, neuter, battle, in battle. Where are we located? In the battle. Superati erant, from supero, superare, superavi, superatus, to surpass, overcome, or defeat. With the helping verb erant, it is the pluperfect passive, third person plural, pluperfect passive indicative. It's got to be nominative plural masculine, ding ding, agrees with qui. Who, because we're talking about nominative, we're talking about, not here, nominative plural soldiers. We still don't know if the soldiers are the subject or the direct object here, but inside this clause, they are the subject. The soldiers who had been, pluperfect, had been defeated in battle. Then we're out of the clause. We're just describing about these soldiers. imagine them defeated. They had already been defeated in battle. Fidelissime, from fidelis, fidele. Third declension, to termination adjective, meaning faithful or loyal. And if you're faithful or loyal, you are to someone in the dative. Faithful to, loyal to. Fidelissimi. Now the comparative would be fidelior, fidelioris, or the neuter fidelius, fidelioris. But the superlative, it is not a silly six. It's got a normal form. Fidelissimos aum. Remember, the silly six are facilis, difficilis, dissimilus, similus, humilus, and gracilis. Fidelissimi, that's the nominative plural masculine or the genitive singular masculine. I'm going to guess it's nominative plural masculine because I peeked ahead and saw erant is a linking verb. And that means that we're going to have a nominative subject because we can't have an accusative if we have a linking verb form of sum. So fidelissimi, nominative plural masculine. The soldiers were, they were, imperfect tense, the most faithful. Imperatori, imperator, imperatoris, masculine, general or commander. That's dative, singular masculine. It's dative because dative with adjective. Faithful to, most faithful to their general. They were. Who were? The soldiers. Oh, well, who were those guys? Oh, the ones who had been defeated in battle. The soldiers who had been defeated in battle were most faithful to their general. They were very faithful to their commander. Optime, sexta. Lex tua est magis idonea bello quam paci. Mea aeque grata civibus et militibus est. Man, some harsh words. So, lex legis, feminine, law. This is the nominative singular feminine subject. Tua, from tua saum, your. Looks like it's nominative singular feminine, agreeing with lex. Your law, subject of est, linking verb. Third person singular, present active indicative, sum esse fui futurus. Your law is magis, that's an adverb. That's the adverb form of magnopere. And magnopere is the positive adverb greatly of magnus. So magis is the comparative adverb form of magnus. So it just means more. More idonea. From idoneos aum, meaning suitable. Because idone is the stem of the adjective, we don't add the suffix ior, I-O-R, to form the comparative. We just give it the adverb magis, which means more. So, more suitable, idonea. This is the nominative singular feminine form because it has to agree with lex. We have our nominative subject, our linking verb, and our predicate nominative. Your law, thy law, is more suitable, and idoneus often takes a dative with adjective to complete its meaning, like bello, from bellum e neuter, meaning war. This is the dative, or it could be the ablative, but it is the dative, singular neuter, dative with adjective. More suitable for something, for war, quam. Okay, because we have a comparative, we are comparing thing X, bello, quam to thing Y, paci, from pax, pacus, feminine, peace. If we're using quam and comparing them, thing X, if that's dative, thing Y must be the same case as thing X. So dative, quam, paci, that's dative as well, then peace. Your law is more suitable for war than for peace. Semicolon, mea. Mine, it's referring back to the my law, mea, from meosaum. Mea aeque. Aeque, it's the adverb form from aequosaum, equally, fairly. You take the adjective equal or fair, add the ly, equally, fairly. Gratus, aum, pleasing, welcome, grateful, which often takes a dative with adjective to complete its meaning. to be grateful to someone or to be pleasing to someone, to be welcome to someone. And it's nominative singular feminine to agree with mea. Mine equally pleasing, grateful, kiwibus, welcome to the kiwibus, kiwis, masculine or feminine. You could also write C for common, citizen. And it could be dative or ablative, but it is the dative. Plural, masculine or feminine or common, pleasing to the citizens, at conjunction and, the militibus, from miles, militus, masculine soldier, dative or ablative, it is dative, plural masculine, to the soldiers. Mine, meaning mea lex, my law is equally pleasing to the citizens and to the soldiers. To the citizenry and the soldiery. And est, it closes off the sentence, third person singular, present, active, indicative of sum esse fui futurus. Altogether, your law is more suitable for war than peace. Mine is equally pleasing to the citizens and the soldiers. Septima. Num potes invenire equum nobiliorem quam meum equum? So num, we have question. Num here, we are expecting the answer of this to be no. If we had no ne, we'd expect it to be yes. Here we have num, expecting it to be no. So num potes. Potes from possum, posse, potui. You can see ace right there because possum is built off of sum. So it's you are, and then pot, potential, you are able, you have the potential right now. This is the second person singular, present, active, indicative of possum. So you aren't able, are you? And possum dies screaming for a complementary infinitive to complete its meaning. Invenire, invenio, invenire, inveni, macron over the e, inventus, to find, to discover. So this is the present active infinitive form, invenire. You aren't able to find, are you? Now, what aren't you able to find? An accusative direct object, equum, from equici, masculine, a horse. And equum nobiliorem, from nobilis, nobile, noble, of high birth, well-bred. The stem is nobil, and then you add the suffix eor to get the comparative, and the em, that's the accusative singular masculine or feminine ending, agrees with the accusative singular masculine equum. A horse more noble, a nobler horse. Quam, comparative quam, comparing two things, thing X, this horse. Quam meum equum, my horse, thing Y. So thing X, if that's accusative, then thing Y, quam meum, that must also be accusative. Meum equum. And they are. You aren't able to find a horse more noble than mine, are you? With the implication being, no, of course not. How could I? Octava. Ubi oppidum propinquum videram, postero die literas ad meos propinquos scripsi. So ubi, where or when, in space or time. Oppidum, oppidum e neuter, a town, nominative or accusative singular neuter. Propinquum, from propinquus aum, meaning nearby. And then videram, first person singular, pluperfect active indicative of video, videre, vidi, visus, to see. So when, it's a temporal clause, when I had seen the nearby town, so this is going to be the accusative direct object, cannot be nominative if I am the subject. When I had seen the nearby town, postero die, postero from posteros aum, mean following or after. You can see post as its root. It agrees with DA in gender numbering case. DA is a masculine, meaning day. This is an ablative of time, when. When does the action occur? Postero die, on the following day, on the next day. Literas, from literae, feminine, meaning a letter of an alphabet. But if you have this word in the plural, it often means a letter that you mail, because a letter that you mail is a compilation of a bunch of letters of the alphabet. So we can translate it with the singular letter. It's equivalent to epistula, because it is accusative, it is plural, it is feminine. Probably is going to be the direct object, because I don't see a preposition in front of it showing motion towards. Oh look, there is a preposition showing motion towards, but it's going to meos propinquos. So we're probably mailing this letter, or sending this letter, or writing this letter to an accusative direct object. Ad plus the accusative, meos, from meosaum, accusative plural masculine, agreeing with propinquos. Now, propinquos aum, like it does in the beginning of the sentence, can mean nearby, like it does here, agreeing with this noun oppidum, the nearby town. But here, propinquos is a substantive. It's an adjective acting like a noun, substantive being a fancy word for noun. It has its own adjective agreeing with it. So remember, adjectives can't modify adjectives. Adjectives can be modified by adjectives can only modify nouns. Adverbs modify adjectives. So propinquos is acting like a noun here, a substantive, and it means those who are nearby. But it means it in a blood sense, in a kin sense, so it means relatives or relations. So to my relatives, to my relations, to my blood kin. Scripsi, from scribo, scribere, scripsi, scriptus, to scribble or to write. Scripsi is the first person singular perfect active indicative. I wrote. Don't say righted. I have written. So this is the main clause, with this being the main verb. I wrote a letter to my relatives on the following day. Well, when was that? Oh, when I had seen the nearby town. When I had seen the nearby town, I wrote a letter to my relatives the next day. Or when I had seen the nearby town, the next day I wrote a letter to my relatives. Nona. Non pugnabit nisi ei gladium longiorem dederis. Non pugnabit, non being an adverb negating pugnabit, pugnabit being third person singular future active indicative of pugno, pugnare, pugnavi, pugnatus, to fight. So he, she, it will not fight. Nisi, it's a compound of ne and si, meaning not if, or unless, or except. Here it's probably meaning unless, if not. If not, or unless, ei. Ei could be the nominative plural masculine. It's equivalent to e, double I, of isea id, or it could be the dative singular, masculine, feminine, or neuter, because remember, dem demonstratives is heteroclats, where the dative singular is ends in an I, ei. Gladium, from gladius, gladi, masculine, a sword. Gladium being the accusative singular masculine direct object. Longiorem, from longusaum, meaning long, and it's long distance-wise. And then we've got the comparative longiorem, which is built from the stem long, and then ior, and then the accusative m. Accusative singular masculine or feminine probably agrees with the accusative singular masculine gladium. So a longer sword, a sword that is longer. And then dederes. So the longer sword is the accusative direct object of the verb dederes. Unless dederes, do, dare, dedi, datus, second person singular, future perfect active indicative. Unless you, thou, will have given a longer sword, ei, to him or to her, whoever the subject of this verb is. He or she will not fight. They will not fight, as in a third person singular of unknown gender, will not fight unless you will give a sword to him or to her. I'm sorry, a longer sword to him or to her. Sword's too short, want a longer one. And decima. Hortus inquo ambulamus es propinquus hortis Caesaris. Well, that sounds nice. Hortus, like horticulture. Hortus e masculine means garden. That's the nominative singular masculine subject. In plus the accusative would mean motion towards, into, or onto, but in plus the ablative shows location. Quo is the ablative of qui, quae, quod. In which, relative pronoun, masculine or neuter. Antecedent is the hortus, which is also singular. Quo is going to be masculine because hortus is masculine. So it's the garden, the subject garden, in which ambulamos, from ambulo, ambulare, ambulavi, ambulatus, meaning to walk, to amble, to stroll. Because that's what you do in a garden, don't you? Don't you stroll? You walk through a garden, you stroll through a garden. First person plural, so it's the we form, ambulamos. Present active indicative, in which we are walking. We are walking right now. And that's the end of the relative clause. In quo ambulamos. The garden, which one? In which we are walking. Est. So we have a nominative subject hortus, then the relative clause, then we're out of the clause. Est is a linking verb. So we have a subject, linking verb, and then we need a predicate nominative. Propinquus is propinquus nearby, close to. It often takes a dative. You can hear it in the close to, is next to, takes a dative. Propinquus, nearby or close to the hortis. Hortus e masculine, we've already had one garden. Here is another one, only there's more than one. Hortis gardens. The gardens dative with adjective propinquus. Caesaris, from Caesar, Caesaris masculine, Caesar. And Caesar did own some nice gardens across the Tiber River. And it's genitive, singular masculine, because Caesar owned them, genitive of possession. The garden in which we stroll is nearby the gardens of Caesar. Oh, is it really? Yes, indeed, quite. In Trastevere. Optime, very well done. That takes care of exercise B. You are now ready to move on to chapter 34, exercise C.